Hello everyone. So in this tutorial, we'll be basically covering I'll say the key items of MySQL Workbench. Specifically, we'll be dealing with these 6 items here. So how to create a database. I'll be going with a demo database, that is DB demo. And secondly, how do you go and import a table in a given schema or in a given database? And if possible, there are some blank and unknown columns. How do you deal with that? And like how do you deal with an erroneous column? Suppose you wanted to import a column with name ID, and because of some reason the name got changed, and instead of ID you have some weird characters. So how you deal with that? Okay, and for that I'll be taking example of our table E007 customers, okay, as shared in the group. And again, how do you rename or a given erroneous column? And again, finally, if I want to know how many columns are there in that particular table, what are the different data types, and how many total entries do we have in that particular table. So that also can be checked, and it's very easy. So that's basically inspecting the table. Finally, how do you drop a table if required? How do you drop a database? How do you export a database? So there could be multiple tables, right, in a given schema or in a given database, and you want to export them all, or maybe you just want to export a single file. So we'll be seeing that scenario as well. And finally, how do you import a database with multiple tables, right? So let's get started. So initially, in this case, I'm going to create a database called DB demo. So creating a database is very simple. You'll already see that we have CPE dummy, sys, and test DB database already created. So I'll be creating a DB demo. So just like click on this, create a new schema in the connector server, and just name whatever you want. So in this case, it's going to be DB demo, and click apply. And the system is going to run this command, create schema DB demo, click apply, and wait for the finish. Once finish, you'll see that it's not showing up, right? So you can just refresh it here, and it is going to show up here, test DB. Sorry, DB demo. So we just created this schema DB demo, and now the next step is how to import a table, and if possible, there are some blank and unknown columns, right? So let's do that as well. So in this DB demo, I'm just going to right click on that and go to table data import wizard, and just browse, and just find your folder wherever your table is located or the CSV file is located. Here I'm going to go with E007 customers, and just click open, next, and see the options it is showing, create new table. And in this schema you can also choose the schema. Currently I'm importing that table in this DB demo, and the name is E007. You can also change the name here. Let's keep it whatever it is by default, okay? And you can check this box if there is already a table existing with this name and you want to drop it and bring in a new table. So like for this particular example, we don't have any table with this name, so I'm just going to go with this box unchecked and go next. Okay, and now it's going to show me all the columns it is going to import from that particular table. You'll see that the first column, ID, it is supposed to be ID, right? But you'll see that there are some weird characters as well. So we'll deal with this later, okay? And if you go down, you'll see that there are multiple unknown columns, my unknown column 0, 1, 2, 3. And these are basically, you'll see that here, these are basically empty columns, right? So because of some reason, right, the schema or the system was not able to read them, or maybe there was some, I'll say, null values in multiple empty columns, and that you don't want to have in your table, right? So you can just uncheck those values, right, and just do that for every my unknown column, and you'll see that all of these my unknown columns are now unchecked. Now I can just go next and again click next. Okay, so just wait for it, and it's going to show me how many records were imported for that particular table. It's 15 records imported. Click finish, and we are done. Just do a refresh, and you'll see that table in your DB demo, that is E007 customers. Okay, so this is how you import a table. The second step is rename the erroneous column. So we saw that there was this column ID where the name was supposed to be ID, but there were some wrong characters as well. So how do you rename that particular column? So I'll just go and click on that table, right click on that table, and I'll go to alter table. Alter basically is changing the table. Okay, so I'll just wait for the system to show up, and then I'm just going to click on that column name. Okay, and it's going to show me column name here is some weird thing. I'll just rename it to ID. Okay, click apply, and you'll see that it is going to show me the exact command it's going to run. It is basically altering the table db demo E007 customers, and is changing the column from this value to this value. Click apply and finish. You'll see that the name has been updated here. So initially it was some wrong column name, now it's correctly showing the ID. You are done. Okay, and you can just check that here the column name is ID. So again, renaming thing is done. Now what next? Rename the erroneous column and inspect the table. So we want to see how many entries are there in this particular table. So let's just go on that table. You'll see that there are three options, right? So there is I, and there is some screw sort of thing, settings, and there is small table. If I'm going to click on I, it is going to show me the full information about that table. How many columns are there? 6 columns are there. Okay, how many rows are there? 15 rows are there. What is the data length, the total file, that is the 16 kilobyte. And you can also see towards the left E007 customers and their respective columns and their data types. You can also like copy the table name if required from here. Okay, and if I'm going to do a click on this small table icon, it is going to run a select star query. Okay, so it's going to show you all the rows from this particular table automatically. Okay, in a new SQL tab. So you'll see that we have all the elements that is being shown here. Like, so it was supposed to be how many rows are? 15 rows, and you'll see that there are indeed 15 rows here. If you're going to do a count, okay, you can see that output action here. So it has run this command select star, and what is the message? There are 15 rows returned. Okay, so this is how you do a quick check on your table that you just imported. Okay, what's next? So suppose for some reason I want to drop this given table. So how do you drop a table? It's very simple. You just go right click on that, click on drop table. It's going to ask you whether you want to like just review the SQL, or you can just drop it right away. So just click on drop now, and the table is gone. You won't see that table in the DB demo. There is no table here. Okay, now what's next? Drop a database. Suppose I want to drop this database DB demo. How do I do that? I'll just go right click on DB demo, again drop schema, drop now. DB demo is gone for good. It is no more there. So this is how you drop a table, and this is how you drop a schema if required. Now the final thing, and it is very important, that is how do you export a database and how do you import a database. So I have already created a copy of the schema that you guys will be working on, that is CPE, that is the database or schema name, and we have all the tables that will be requiring for our further assignments and all kind of works. Okay, so in this case, first of all, I want to export this database. So I'll just go to server, and there is data export option. Again, server data export, and it is going to show me something. Now if you look at it, there are multiple schemas, right? So CPE, CPE dummy, sys, testdb. What do I want to do? I want to export maybe multiple database at once, or maybe just one database. I'll just click on this. Okay, and if I'm clicking on this CPE name, it is going to show me all the tables that are currently lined up for export. I can check or uncheck whatever I require. Suppose I just want to export E001 customer or E001 orders, I can just keep those guys checked and everything unchecked. But in this case, I want everything to be checked because I want to export all of my tables, right? Now you have to look at this option as well. So this is dump structure and data. Dump data only and dump structure only. Make sure that you are already on dump structure and data, because it is going to export the data as well as the structure. Structure is basically the column names and the column data types. Okay, so you want everything at one place. Now look at this thing. Okay, export to dump project folder and export to self-contained file. Make sure it's a self-contained file, so that is going to be all of this information, the data, type and the like data entries, everything is going to be in just one single file. So export to a self-contained file and do a start export. I can also change the name, right? Where do I want to export this file? So currently this is going to be in documents. I don't want that. I just want it to be in desktop. So maybe I'll just do desktop and I'll name this thing as CP data export. Okay, and I'll just do a save. So it's going to now it's going to save on desktop as a CP data export.sql. Just do a start export. Let me just check everything is correct. It is, and start export. You see that 13 of 13, there are 13 tables in this database, 13 of 13 exported, and again there is no need to export again. I'll just cancel it, cancel this thing as well. Okay, so now you have your data exported. I'll show you. So here is the CP data export.sql. Okay, now how do you import a table, right? How do you import a database? Sorry. So you have already exported a database. How do you import a database? And this is important for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to share this exported file. Okay, and then what you're going to do, you're going to create a table, create a schema called CPE. Okay, and import everything in that CP. How do you import everything in CP? So for example, let's say I have this test DB. I'll just go and create maybe new schema. I'll call CPE import test. For you, it's just going to be CPE. You don't have to write import test. Just write CPE and do an apply. Again, apply. Done. So I have a new schema called CPE import test. So this is for the testing purpose, right? Now what I have to do, I have to import everything that I just exported in that SQL file. So I'll just go again to server, data import. Okay, so import from self-contained file. If you remember, I did not exported everything in different kind of files. That was just a single file. So import from a self-contained file. And where do I want all of these tables to be imported in? So default schema to be imported, you have to mention. And again, I have to go to and like this CP import test. Again, in your case, it's going to be CPE. So if I've already created the schema called CPE, it will be showing here. Okay, and just select on that. And what's next? So self-contained file is done. Where I want to import, that is also done. I can just do start import. Okay, so showing export.sql does not exist. Okay, let me just check. Import from disk, export.sql. Okay, so this is asking for export.sql. I exported it in a different location on desktop. Not confused. So this was CP data dump CP data export. Open. So now you're on the correct path. So this is the desktop CP data export.sql. This is the file that I just exported, and I think we are fine. So just wait for it to complete. One by one import it. Everything is done. Let me just do a refresh. If I'm going to go to CP import test, you'll see that all of these tables are here. So in your case, it's going to be CPE and all of your tables will be showing up here. So that's how you do import and export, right? And this is all. Like this should be enough to get you started and up and running with everything that you need regarding your MySQL Workbench. Okay. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next class.